Robert Tate from The Guardian. Mr. Pehlevi, you have said you have a detailed plan to lead the transition when the regime falls. Does that include establishing a constitutional monarchy on the basis of the one that your father was head of? Or do you foresee yourself as merely a transitional or temporary figure? And if so, how would that differ from the vow of Ayatollah Khomeini in 1979, who said at the time of the revolution that he would simply be a transitional figure who would return to home and would retire from active politics only to set up a repressive theocracy? I mean, can you give a pledge that you would not be a second Ayatollah Khomeini?
I invite all of you after this press conference, and I have some of our experts available to you to explain all of this process in more details. One of the projects that I started a few years ago is called IPP, Iran Prosperity Project. This project is meant to address all of the issues, beginning with the first 100 days of how to manage the transition and stabilize the country. Midterm range anywhere between 6 months to 2 years of the rest of the normalization phase, and ultimately Iran's development down the line. Many documents have been generated with the help of legal experts, economists, and others to explain the chronology of events. But in relationship to your question, the way we have proposed the process to go is that the minute the regime collapses, the transitional government takes control. It works towards working in a process where we have its own judiciary branch, executive branch, legislative branch, and temporary parliament to oversee the elections of ultimately a national assembly. By first allowing the Iranian people, after about 4 months' time and many other debates, what is the form they would like to have as a future system of governance by means of referendum. Whatever the majority of the Iranian people decide, their representative in a constitutional assembly will be tasked with the responsibility to draft the constitution of this next system and present that constitutional project to the nation. The nation will have the opportunity to either ratify that proposed constitution, or if not, send it back to that constitutional assembly to rewrite it whatever way is fitted, again submit it to a secondary referendum. If in the second referendum there's still no consensus in majority, that constitutional assembly would dissolve. A new constitutional assembly will be created, and the process will again occur until finally we have a ratified proposed constitutional project. Once that happens, the first parliament of this new democracy will be elected, and the first government of that new system will be elected. If it's a republic, the president will be elected. If it's a monarchy, the prime minister will be elected. At that time, the transitional government dissolves itself and passes over and hands over the responsibility and the authority to the newly elected government based on that new constitution. This is the process from beginning to end. My role in all this is to lead this transition, help with the transitional structure, bring in all the elements that check all the boxes, because the country has to function. Day one, somebody has to pick up the trash. The train has to run on time. Basic services have to be provided. And at this stage, what we are inviting to have the quickest, smoothest transition, the maximum participation, on the one hand, of the military and paramilitary forces to play their role, and the civil society and the bureaucracy to be also in place to be able to address these things. So the majority of these instruments are already in place. And again, against the model of debathification, we count on the majority of these people to remain in their jobs. We want to make sure that the world can help us, so the transitional government can pay salaries so people can maintain their jobs and do all of that. All of these things have been studied and explained in details. And as I said, I invite you to study those, I don't know, I think at least 170 pages of it. And as I said, we have our experts here who can further in detail explain to all of you what is it exactly that we propose. But in a nutshell, this is what we're doing, and this is the process you can expect and anticipate.